Welcome back students. In the previous lecture we have started with the unit number 6 uniform plane wave. We have gone through the Maxwell's equation in the phasor notations, what is the equation of alpha and beta, that also we have gone through. Today it's a time to discuss what exactly wave is. Whenever I am talking about wave and wave polarization or wave equation, Helmholtz equation, we first of all basically try to understand what exactly wave is. So waves are means of transporting energy or information. Okay, so it's simple definition of a wave. Waves are means of transporting energy or information. It can be anything. So even if you consider your mobile towers, the information is being transferred from your mobile phone to other mobile phone through these waves only. So it is means of transporting information. Typical examples of EM wave include radio waves, TV signals, radar beam and light rays. These are some of the examples which carry certain information or energy. The next point is all forms of EM energy share three fundamental characteristics. This is very important to understand because whenever we will go into the waveguides, these some of the properties will fail, but final energy conservation theory doesn't fail. But what are basic three properties that EM waves follow? The first thing is that they all travel at high velocity. So the velocity at which they travel are actually comparable with the velocity of light. Okay, you already know the velocity of light in free space, 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So all waves travels with a high velocity. Then while traveling, they assume the properties of waves. So while traveling, they assume the properties of waves means the properties of the waves are still remain same while they are being transferred from source to the destination. So the properties remain same and they radiate outward from the source. Take an example once again of mobile tower. A mobile tower something looks like this, where we have antenna on this side, on that side, on all those directions. So the waves, electromagnetic waves are radiated normally. Normally means at an angle of 90 degree from this particular thing. So it looks like this. A typical example of electromagnetic waves, just take an example. If you have thrown a stone into the ocean or in wherever there is some water is stored, if you just drop one stone, there are certain waves which are emitted from the point where you have dropped a stone, something like this. Okay, so this is also one kind of a electromagnetic waves because it's a disturbance which you have created. Similarly, in the free space, if your mobile tower antenna is radiating energy, the radiated energy will be normal to that particular antenna, and we say that they radiate outward from the source. So these are the three properties which electromagnetic waves usually follow. So in order to give the waves equation, we need to solve Maxwell's equation and derive the electromagnetic wave motion in the following media. So there are different medias in which waves are propagated. So let's say it's a free space. If it is a free space, sigma conductivity is equal to 0. You already know that. Epsilon is equal to epsilon naught, epsilon r, but epsilon r is equal to 1. Then I can write epsilon is equal to epsilon naught, and mu equal to mu 0, mu r equal to 1. Therefore mu equal to mu naught. You already know that. So first condition is a free space condition. Second is a lossless dielectric. Lossless dielectric. The dielectric which is lossless means which is having low value of tan delta, loss tangent. If it is less, then we say that it's a lossless dielectric. So it may not have epsilon r is equal to 1. It will have a certain value of epsilon r. It will have a certain value of mu r, but it will definitely not have the values of epsilon r and mu r as 1. That thing is clear. And lossy dielectric. And one more thing is that for lossless dielectric, sigma is very less than omega epsilon, but it's not exactly 0. Okay, and you know the relationship between sigma and omega epsilon. We have studied this in the unit number 4. It's called as a loss tangent, tan delta. And lossy dielectric. Lossy dielectric is a dielectric which is conducting in nature. So if it is conducting in nature, there will be definitely loss of the information or the loss of the electric field which is being supposed to be traveled from one part to another part. Take an example of capacitor. I want to shift a charge from one point to another point, and if the dielectric is not proper or if it is a lossy, it is conducting in nature. In that case, certain part of these electromagnetic radiations will be absorbed by it. That the concept skin depth we are going to study, and some part will be radiated and some part he is absorbing. So we say that the dielectric is lossy. Once again take you back to the value of tan delta is equal to sigma upon omega epsilon. If sigma is almost not 0 or if it is having a certain value, will have certain finite value of tan delta, and this finite value of tan delta will indicate the lossy dielectric. So its sigma is not equal to 0 is the first condition. Epsilon is equal to epsilon naught epsilon r, mu is equal to mu 0 mu r. This is the third condition. Remember, while solving the wave equation, we'll consider this third case, lossy dielectric, and we will derive remaining cases as the special case of this lossy dielectric. So if sigma is not 0, epsilon is equal to epsilon naught epsilon r, and mu equal to mu 0 mu r. What is the final condition? Fourth condition is a good conductor. In case of good conductor, sigma is almost tending towards infinity. So tan delta sigma upon omega epsilon will almost tend toward infinity. In that case, we'll say that actually the propagation through conductor is not possible. Only the electromagnetic waves are saturated or penetrated to a certain extent in the metallic field. So this is the final condition that we will see. So basically we will see what waves in general by looking at the mathematical expression. We'll see waves in general by looking at the mathematical expression. So wave is a function of both space and time, which is already discussed in the previous lectures. Wave motion occurs when a disturbance at point A at a time t equal to 0 is related to the what happens at point B at t greater than t0. Once again, throwing a stone into a water has created a disturbance at point t equal to t0, and how it can be related to the what happens at point B. That if this is a point A where you have dropped a stone and this is a point B, whether the water at the point B is also getting disturbed because of this throwing stone. If I want to establish this relationship between point A and point B, then we call this as a wave equation. So in simple words, wave motion occurs when the disturbance at point A may be related mathematically, relation should be mathematical, at point B at t greater than t0. So wave equation can be written as, now see these some of the wave equation we are going to see. So the basic wave equation, it's a partial differential equation of second order. So it's a second order partial differential equation. How I can write this? So dou square E by dou t square, you usually call this as daba square by daba t square. So it is dou square by dou t square E bar. So this is electric field intensity. I want to write this for electric field intensity. So dou square E bar by dou t square minus, it's not mu, it's u. Okay, it's just a mistake here. So it's u, or you can represent it with a small v also. It's a velocity. It's a velocity. Okay, so u or small v minus u square dou square E by dou z square is equal to 0. Remember one thing, if I am writing electric field intensity equation for a wave, dou square E bar by dou t square minus u square dou square E by dou z square, can you just observe the denominator? Once E bar is varying with respect to time, here E bar is varying with respect to z, that is space. So we have said the first statement, wave is a function of both space and time. So it's equal to 0. It's not a final Helmholtz equation. We'll see this Helmholtz equation finally, but this is a wave equation in general. So if this is so, let's sort it out. Let's solve the second order partial differential equation, what equation we are getting, and finally how if the wave equation is given to you, how one can understand that wave is propagating in which direction and what, that we will try to see. Okay, so let's proceed for the next slide. So where u is a velocity of light, you can represent it with a small v or u, whatever you wish to. So where v or u is a wave velocity, solving second order partial differential equation, you already know that how to solve that. You will get certain two equations, c1 equal to 0, c2 equal to 0. If two equations I am getting, so c1 e raised to ax plus c2 e raised to bx. So you already know that. So if two equations are there, you can find the partial order partial differential equation, and to solve that you will come to the two equations. Since it is a second order, we will get two roots and two equations, that is E minus and E plus. I just represented with the E minus and E plus. E minus is f of z minus ut. Why z? Since it is a function of space. Why t? Since it is a function of time. So f of z minus ut, and E plus is g of z plus ut. So these are the two equations which I got. You just apply your concept of mathematics and try to solve that. Definitely you are going to get these two equations as the solution of this differential equation. Or simply E is equal to, so this is C1, this is C2, so C1 plus C2, so f of z minus ut plus g of z plus ut. So it's a combination since I have two equations. So equation number 1, once again, now I have the final equation of E bar as f of z minus ut plus g of z plus ut. Now let's go back to the equation number 1. Can be assumed harmonic. Harmonic means it is varying, time harmonic or sinusoidal dependence with respect to e raised to j omega t. So can I write this as, now let's go back to the equation number 1 once again and just try to rewrite here. So what is equation number 1? Dou square E by dou t square minus mu square. So what I am going to do, can I take this u square to this denominator? As it's a simple multiplication by u bar. So 1 upon u square, that is 1 upon v or 1 upon u square, dou square e by dou t square minus dou e square by dou z square. Okay, so can I rearrange the term? Yes, I can. So dou square e by dou z square, this 1 upon u square and dou by dou t, you already know what is dou by dou t. It's a derivative, and I can replace dou by dou t. Since it's the phasor concept, you can replace single dou by dou t by j omega. So dou square by dou t square, can I replace this by j omega bracket square? Yes, I can represent this j omega bracket square. Simply this dou square by dou t square I am talking about. Okay, you just take a pen and paper and try to solve this. So j omega square, so j square is minus 1, omega square is already we have considered, so minus j square omega square divided by this v square, so omega by v, so it's already beta. So I can represent this as dou square es by dou z square. It's a phasor notation. Since it is a phasor notation, with respect to time we have replaced it with a j omega, and we finally come to this conclusion. See, remember, beta is equal to omega by v. It's a phase constant that we will try to see in the next coming lectures. It's omega by u or omega by v, you can take it in any direction. So dou square es upon dou z square plus beta square es equal to 0. So this is equation number 5. So we'll continue with this equation from this point onward in the next lecture. Try to once again sort it out, that solve that partial differential equation, and try to get this equation number 4. Once you get that, we'll write equation number 1 in the time harmonic form by dividing those equations by certain values. So we'll continue in the next lecture onward. Till then, happy learning and thank you very much.